So welcome everyone to our webinar on assessments and testing in ampEducator. Today, we'll show you how to modernize your entire assessment process, from creating quizzes, tests, midterms, and finals to grading submissions, tracking student progress, and maintaining assessment integrity. My name is Jamie McLeod. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ampEducator. It's my pleasure to guide you through today's session and demonstrate how these tools can help reduce administrative work while supporting better learning outcomes. We're going to spend about 30 minutes together. The webinar includes a brief presentation, some live demonstration, Q&A at the end. I'm joined today by our client experience lead and moderator, Sam Good.
Hi, everyone.
Please feel free to submit your questions to Sam using the Q&A option in Zoom, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as time allows. So I'm just going to get started, and we can look at what modern online testing should accomplish and how ampEducator supports the complete assessment lifecycle from course delivery to graduation. So when people hear online testing, they often think it's simply replacing paper exam with a digital one. And in reality, ampEducator manages the entire assessment lifecycle, from creating assessments, delivering them to students, grading responses, calculating final grades, and tracking progress in the gradebook. Everything happens in one integrated platform. And the result is less administration for instructors and a more consistent assessment process for students. So traditional process versus ampEducator process. Create once, use templates, students complete online, and it's a hybrid of automatic grading and the manual option as well too. So questions are auto-marked and calculated, and students can get instant feedback, all for faster and smarter assessments. When I say assessments in this webinar, I'm referring to testing, but we want to expand on more than just test or quiz. It's a full assessment platform. And before we jump into the software, let's start with what online testing should actually accomplish. So we were following a practical checklist with ampEducator. Most schools aren't looking for another tool to create quizzes. Like I said, they're looking for a better way to manage the entire assessment process when they come to us. And a modern online testing platform should let instructors create assessments quickly, support different question types, reduce grading time, and make it easy to track student progress throughout the program. It should also maintain assessment integrity through secure delivery and provide meaningful insight into learning outcomes, not just final grades. So the key takeaways are listed on the current slide here. Better assessments leading to better outcomes. When instructors spend less time on administration and more time evaluating student learning, students receive faster feedback, grading becomes consistent, and schools gain better visibility into performance. So as we go through today's demonstration, we'll come back to these points, these items, and show you exactly how ampEducator supports them in practice. And we can start with the foundation of every assessment process, which is actually creating the test. That's why we're here today. So every assessment begins with defining what you want students to demonstrate. And whether it's a short quiz, a midterm, a final exam, practical evaluation, ampEducator gives instructors the ability and the flexibility to build those assessments that match their curriculum. And assessments can be organized into sections, making longer exams easier to navigate and helping instructors group related topics together. Each question can have its own point value, allowing assessments to reflect the importance of different learning outcomes. And questions can include images, tables, hyperlinks, rich formatting, making them suitable for programs such as healthcare, trades, business, technology across the spectrum of education that you might be delivering to your students. So, and additionally, you can import all your tests from a CSV file using our import tool. So there's lots of different ways of setting them up. And before publishing, instructors can preview the assessment, and because assessments can be copied and reused, there's no need to start from scratch every time. So the goal is simple: spend less time building assessments, more time delivering quality instruction. We'll go in here and we can create a test. So this is the ampEducator's dashboard, if you haven't seen it before. Right now, I'm just showing the home menu here. There's our productivity tools. When you go down to tests, this is where our assessments, our tests. You'll see a list of different tests here, tags, descriptions. This is our user interface for the test section under productivity tools. And when you want to add a test using ampEducator, there's always a big green button in the right-hand corner This one's a new test, and you can name the test, give it a title. So there's an internal reference and one that's displayed on the test, and access, read only, read update, and location access, because we support multiple locations within the same account. And once you do that, they'll come up in this list, and you can apply tags. We'll get into that in a second as well too. But that's the general way to add them, and this is where they're found. And then I also mentioned you can import. So if you go to our productivity tools, there's many different productivity tools here. Imports is another one, and then you can say more actions, and you can import tests. And this is another one I mentioned earlier. You can quickly add these through a CSV file. Not every learning outcome should be measured the same way. That's why ampEducator does support a variety of question types within a single assessment. And so these are specifically the questions that we're going to look at in a second for that assessment or those tests that you saw listed earlier. We offer obviously multiple choice, multiple select, matching, fill in the blank questions. All can be graded automatically. And these are ideal for testing knowledge, terminology, procedures, foundational concepts. Essay questions as well can allow instructors to evaluate the critical thinking, the communication skills, and we include those as well too. And the important point is that you're not limited to one style of assessment. You can combine different question types within the same quiz or exam to better reflect how students demonstrate competency in the real world. This also helps balance efficiency and meaningful evaluation. Objective questions can save time through automatic grading, obviously, but the written responses allow instructors to assess a deeper understanding where it matters most. So these are the hybrid grading that we talk about, where you can have all of these automatically graded or auto-marked, and then you can also interact and provide comments on the ones that obviously can't be. So in the back to home productivity tests, Sam has done a great job of setting up all kinds of tests for us today, including a tutorial that she's built. We'll share that in a minute too. But just looking at the test tutorial demo test here, there's some top level information that we saw before when you're going to add these, where they're shared, which location, with what users, and there is a point system, and you can predefine time limits. This is all part of the templating process. But when you get into the actual questions that I was referring to, things like multiple choice, what does this look like? How would you interact with it? How would you design it using the user interface versus importing it? What you see on screen is how that would work. So multiple choice, different answers, correct answers, you select them. And this is a visual representation of what an instructor would see designing it, or whoever is building these. The green answer, the green highlighted is the answer, and then you can move through the different ones. Multiple select. There's additionally, obviously, matching and open essay, and then we have a fill in the blank as well too. So you would build these into the different sections, following our guide that Sam has put together. So awesome for us. And if you wanted to include rich text, images, text that's either bolded or underlined or highlighted, or tables, that can be built in as well too. Images, obviously, like I said, usually we recommend using plain text, but if you need to use rich text, you can do that as well too into these questions. So once you've got these all set up, then you can get into more organization. And let me just flip back and I can talk about, well, why don't I just show you really quickly what I mean, the tests and the organization, since we're already here. You have different tags that you can build into this, and the organization is important. So, we're talking about things like, as your school growing, so does your assessment library, right? So these tags, they just help to do that. You can tag something like I'm going to do here, webinar, and then you can go back to tests, and you can say this particular one is under the webinar tag or multiple tags. And then I can sort and filter on these. And it's all part of the organization, right? So ampEducator, including that stuff, instead of creating the same test over and over again, instructors can search, filter, and reuse existing assessments, not only saving time, but promoting consistency, right? So the idea here is that as your school grows, like I said, you can manage it. You can search for, to demo, for example, and find the demo. Simple things, but these are things that are very useful, obviously. And, look at everyone under webinar, for example, and it'll filter and it'll do that. And this also shows up when you're adding as well. So when you're adding to courses, which we're going to review in a minute. So the organization of the tools is important. Previewing this to just confirm which one it is, you can do that instantly right from here. You don't have to click into it, which is nice. You can download a PDF version of that or preview it here without downloading it, which is great too. This would be the printed version, and we do have a variation of that. So when you PDF the test, it has to be presented on screen in HTML, but we also do a PDF version of it and render that for you so that you can print this off. And it'll actually have the summary page that's added automatically for every test that you do. It's just little things like this that I wanted to highlight in this webinar that you might not get from just looking at it casually. Obviously, we also have the copy test feature, so you can copy common ones and then update them quickly. The actual organization tools in ampEducator are very important. As your school grows, you're going to have a long list of these tests. Those test tags are meant to work like folders. And then you can filter on those and add them to courses, is what I'm trying to get to really. So when you're actually using the software, these tools are meant to integrate and help to filter through a long list of tests for every course. You don't want to do that. You would obviously build in these organization tools, who has access, which location, and only the people that should see their tests will see them when they need to add them. Now that we've sort of looked at that, we can talk about delivering the tests. And this is where I would actually add the test to your course. And once they're built, publishing is pretty straightforward. Instructors and staff with course access, like I said, can simply add the assessments and make it a part of the student's learning path. And you control when students can access an assessment, how long they have to complete it, when it closes. This gives instructors flexibility while maintaining consistency across the class. From the student's perspective, everything is available in one place. They don't have to switch between different systems or wonder where to quiz or exam. It's all in one place, which is the whole point of the platform. Whether your students are learning in the classroom, online, or through a blended model, the assessment experience remains the same. That consistency reduces confusion and allows instructors to focus on teaching rather than managing technology. So again, I'm going to walk through this process for you, and you can just see it live, because talking about it is one thing, but if I'm a visual person, so I like to see things, and that's why we're doing the live demos with the webinars. And so going into any course that you've created, I've created this one, so just bear with me. We'll skip over that point, but just adding a test to an existing course. I've created one called webinar. You would go into grading, for example. This is one way to do it. New course grade. I can call this the demo. And I'm going to add it from my test bank. And if I have access, then I can see it and I can filter on the webinar ones. And there's only one, so that's all I have access to, and then I can add it. You can imagine, though, this list could be quite long otherwise if we didn't have those organizational tools. So we talked about, accessibility to these. There's different things here. I'm going to skip through it quickly, but in our tutorial and all of our guides, it goes into much more detail. So just bear with me while we get through this. But I can set this one to open. It just doesn't restrict me, but I could do it by date and time. There could be a time limit, so we'll just demonstrate that by adding 30. Question randomization, answer randomization. These are options for you. Auto mark is great, obviously. If you check this, then it will automatically mark and show that to the student. It will still automatically mark them. If you don't use this option, this is about referring to the display. And again, it gets into it with the guide, and you'll see that. But whether or not the student can view the auto mark when it's completed or marked, these are options that you would pick. And I generally like to demo it when marked so that you can see that and the student can view that. Verify student is an option where you can show ID, and it'll look and see whether or not there's a face in the ID. And if it doesn't have that, then it won't allow them to progress. And there's different security levels as well, too, that you can set. We have warn if they mouse out of the screen, and etc. I don't want to go into too much detail here at this point, but this is just about the different options that you can add or have them templated. Notifying instructors, proctoring the test. There's so many options here, and I just want to glaze over some of them, just give you guys some inspiration. You'll see that there's great stuff here for proctoring as well, too. So once I get past the adding of the test to the course and selecting publish type always, because that's the option that I want here. Grade is of 100, passing is 70%. It'll add it to the course. So That's just getting the test into on demand for a course. And you can template these ahead of time. It's just giving you an idea of what you can do when you're adding these to courses. And then, of course, there is the student taking it as well too. And after students complete an assessment, that's really where some of the time savings begin. And we can look at that as well too. We talked about the assessment integrity a bit there. It's not really about preventing cheating. It's about ensuring every student is evaluated fairly and consistently. And ampEducator gives instructors control over assessments, like how long, et cetera. You saw that with the open and the date and the time. For schools that require additional oversight, ampEducator provides support for the online proctoring too. I mean, we do have partners that we work with, but as I mentioned, we've integrated that. So you can report screen capture, you can report webcam capture, look for multiple faces, look for gaze and focus. And these are flagged as events when the students are taking the test. And like I said, mousing out of the screen. I'll show that in a second through the student view of this. But the idea is that it's to provide the right level of control for your institution. And a weekly quiz might require very little security, or a final exam or certification assessment might require additional safeguards. So combining the flexibility of the assessment delivery with consistent grading and centralized record keeping, schools can have a greater confidence in both assessment process and the results. And that's really what we're looking to get through to everybody in this webinar. So students can log in securely. They can use two-factor authentication, Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. It depends on what their preference is, but we support that. It's not turned on for this webinar, but I just like to highlight that too. It's important for security nowadays. When the student logs in, depending on what they clicked on last, like I did, it'll refresh to where they were, or they'll find their course. And this is about testing, so we're just focusing on assessments and resources. And when they click on assessments, they'll see the tester. There's different ways that they might find this link to launch this test. It might come up in their agenda, or they'll know exactly where to go, or you could send them the link through the software. They don't have to log in through the software, but they can click launch test here. And then what that does is it actually launches the test window. And here's where you can see verify your identity is here. And if I don't hold that up, I won't be able to access this test and go through the different options. So back to assessments here, launching the test. So I just wanted to skip past that part because I can't really show the proctoring, the verification, because during the Zoom webinar, it just gets confused. The browser won't really like that, but that is an option. You can see I've got my time started here. This is the student interface that they would see, and the different questions that we were looking at before. What is the capital city of Canada? Hopefully I can get these right, Sima. As you go through these, you'll see the different progress bars will indicate their progress. If they're the multiple select ones, you can do that as well too. As I proceed through this, it's going to look at my answers. And as you see, 3 of 5, if I skip over one and I don't answer it, it'll let me know. Save answer. Okay, so if I try to finish the test, it does things like it lets me know. I 4 out of 5, 80%. Are you sure you want to confirm? And I shouldn't. So I say cancel, and I can review and go back and see which one I missed and say, oh, yes, I forgot to do this one. So pick those, save answer. Now I can proceed and finish the test, and it'll say, okay, great, no problem, confirm. Now I've completed the test. So those results immediately go back to ampEducator. What can be marked is marked. What isn't would then go to the instructor. So this is, where all the grading is happening in the background, is where it's really saving time. Like, obviously it's great. Students have entered their questions, but now what's happened is it's feeding back into the Gradebook, which is a big part of ampEducator's courses. And you can design courses where the entire program could be in one course with different sections in our course content and our LMS, and they're taking tests, they're doing quizzes, they're submitting assignments. But if you're just having one test or assessment done, it'll still go through everything, mark what it can, and then it'll do the hybrid comparison with the results. So, once students submit those assessments, it really streamlines the grading process. I want to highlight that because when the grading happens within the same platform, there's no need to manually calculate scores and transfer results into another system. Everything stays connected to the assessment, student's record. And the biggest benefit isn't just saving time, it's providing students with faster and more consistent feedback so they know where they're succeeding and where they need to have additional support. Flipping back to ampEducator, I can show you what the instructor sees in that hybrid grading component, because I think that's important as well too. So now we're back to the instructor view, and I can look at my students. Normally there'd be a lot of different students here. I get all kinds of metrics, but just for the gradebook itself, I can see that the student didn't do so great. And that's just because I was whipping through those questions kind of quickly. Normally I would have studied more, maybe some and taken more time, but you can see, there's the outcomes here of the demo and the test. And if I scroll down to the bottom, I can see, well, the student did great here. The student did not do so great here. And then which ones they're highlighted as you flip through the question section. Here's the one that I got wrong because obviously it wasn't matching. I can go down and give them partial points, or I can say something like, very funny, Jamie, issue partial points if I wanted to. So there are options of interacting and providing feedback is my point, in all seriousness, with the test. And as you go through this, including the open-ended questions, you can say, well, this is correct, wrong, partial, and then make comments and hit save. And as you're doing all of this, it's updating in real time. So if I've marked everything and then I switch back to my student view, so the student would have, their login, and once everything is updated, then they would see it here. They would switch from launching, obviously, to view test, and I can see the outcome and I can see the feedback presented by the instructor in real time. So I'm doing my best here to attempt to show everybody, like, there is, a lot going on with assessments in ampEducator, but at its core, it's practical checklist application. We give you the ability to deploy your tests online, and then there's all this assessment that's going in and the interaction and how is it managed and the organization, all super important considerations when you're looking at these types of things. And the gradebook itself, once the grading is complete, those, like I said, all those results automatically become part of that gradebook. And that gradebook is extensive, for sure. It can be, or it can be very simple. So if you go into the details of any course and you have grading, we've obviously added just a test here, but this could be multiple tests over multiple units. This could be a combination of many different courses, all leading up to a program. It's all weighted average calculations, complete, custom grades, all flowing back and all being published when you want them to be published or shared or not shared, and all leading into the students who, again, this can be automated and it can be issuing credentials automatically to students once they complete these online tests, or it can just be a complete pass-fail, or it can account for no credits. The gradebook and the grading and the student information management and the learning management system all integrated together gives you a high degree of control, or it can be very basic in its application, I guess is my point. So that it's about the complete assessment and testing lifecycle. I mean, this is the point of our webinar, which is when you think about, again, like online testing, it's not just a digital test. ampEducator is a platform, and we really like to push that. This whole complete testing workflow, creating the test and building the questions, assigning it to a course, configuring the settings, students completing it, review and grade, view results. Because all the assessment results are centralized, instructors can identify trends and recognize students who might need additional support, monitor progress over time, rather than just relying on a single exam. And administrators, give them greater consistency across programs and gives better visibility into student achievement. And the gradebook becomes really the central source of truth for student assessment throughout that whole learning journey. And that gradebook, again, there's not enough time to go into it in this webinar, but I encourage you to look at it if you haven't already, or if you do understand it, or if you're new to ampEducator completely. There's a lot going on there, and the different information that we can present to you through it. The more that you use it, the better the reporting and analytics will come out of that. And SEMA has produced a great tutorial. It's available in our docs, and it's available through our website under resources. The link is on screen, but it's very easy to find off of our website. And it's a complete step-by-step tutorial guide. It has walkthrough step scribes that work very much like videos. I encourage you to go and check it out. It's really a great resource. And of course, we have a lot more there in the guide and the docs as well too. If I'd like to open the floor for any questions, Sema has
Okay.
been monitoring them. Hopefully, there's a few there, Sema.
Yeah. So can a test be set up so that each student can attempt it multiple times?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah. There's a feature in there called reschedule. They can take the first test. If they don't pass, then you can reschedule it. Or if there's accommodations, they can do that. There's a way to do it so that you can take the best of 5 tests. It's a grading component that we have, and that is extensively talked about in the guide. So for sure, you can definitely do that. It's just really about understanding what's best for your application. Like I said, sometimes it's accommodations. This one student needs more time. You can do that for that individual student, and everybody else will have this standard amount of time. And if it's taking the same test or a fixed test over and over again, then there are ways of doing that either through adding 3 separate tests and then assigning weighting after the fact to the best one, or the system can automatically do that for you. So we would look at that or help you if you weren't sure. You just have to reach out and let us know, and we can help you sift through the different options there. That's a good question.
Okay. And what about with completed tests? Does the platform save completed tests? And if so, for how long?
Yeah, it's basically there as long as you have your account. We would not purge anything on your behalf. That's not how we operate. It's basically there, like I said, and backed up and kept for you as long as you continue to work with us and your account is active. We will do that for you for sure. So don't have to worry about any third-party backup or support. It's all included.
Yeah, it just lives within the course, right? You would just go back to the course and go into the LMS section, the tests, and it will just be there.
Exactly. And then if you were generating transcripts and storing with a third party, a lot of our career college customers need to do that through regulation. Then that obviously can happen, and we have direct integrations for those services. But also, if you're not a career college or you're a different type of institution and you want things stored, then we would be your storage provider. We can do that for you for sure. It will always be there, whether you're generating in the course or you're looking at students' overall grades in their academic history, or the student can log in and look at their academic history, or you can produce the transcripts and download it as a PDF or in various batches. So lots of different options there for sure.
And there's a question here about if you can have like accommodations for a student who might need longer to do a test.
Right. Yeah, that would be the extending those individual tests. The student would normally have indicated to you that ahead of time. But if not, or if there was another example might be a technical problem that they're having, their internet isn't working, who knows? Things happen all the time. And then if you need to reschedule that, you can go into the individual reschedule function in the course per user within the course, for sure.
Okay, so if you knew that a student needs longer, then you could set that up like
Yeah,
before
or
you
you would
take
set
the
that
test.
up in advance, right?
Yeah.
Those are the 2 ways of doing it.
For people who are currently on a trial, if they create a number of tests now, would they remain when they switch to the full account?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, the trial that you sign up for with us is a fully functional trial. There's no difference other than us changing the status from active from
Yeah,
brown to
everything
active,
stays.
and everything
Yeah.
will still be there. A lot of schools though will want to sort of transition to a clean account, and that can happen as well too. So there are options there. We would normally through the onboarding process identify that early and help you to manage that migration. But yeah, absolutely, whatever you do now can be done in the active one.
So when a student violates like that, the security flags come up if they violate, if they go out of screen or if they go off the page, what does the instructor see or what does that look like?
the way that that happens is there are flags that occur, and they will show up as a count for each student in the course. And you'll see that you can expand on the tests within the course, if there's multiple or just one, and you'll see each student and you'll see the count of the flags. And then you can go in and look at the log. And the log is quite detailed. It will show, connecting IP and what it found. And then if you have set up those flags, then for each event that happens, ampEducator will record them and then keep the clips, and you can see those events. And the idea there is that you don't have to review. If you suspect something has happened, or you're not, or for whatever reason, you're considering a student for review, or you're just doing it randomly, then you don't have to watch the entire recording. It will just be the snippet of what happened, and that flag will direct you to that. The student would get a warning that says, you've moused outside the screen, please don't do that. And they have to acknowledge it. And if they don't acknowledge it, depending on your setting, it will close the test, not allow them to proceed, or it will just warn them. But every single time they're doing that, regardless of what they do or acknowledge, the flag will be there. Same thing for the web capture and the screen capture if you use those. And we do have third parties that we work with for these proctoring, and we do support Microsoft Secure Assessments if you're using that is integrated natively right now. And then we have another partner called Smarter Services. And if you're working with another LMS that has that, then we can certainly look at that integration as well too. So yeah, lots of great information about that in the guide. Trust me.
And just, in the tutorial, in the tutorial in the guide, there is screenshots of just exactly what that looks like and how you can view it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think just to make a clarification, because I think there's some questions about like, what if you needed something submitted into market? Like this is just one aspect of assessments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We wanted to focus on testing specifically because it's such a big part of the time saving. But the assessments themselves, when you talk about the LMS part, which we'll be doing a much more detailed look at LMS in a future webinar. But assignments and discussion board and evaluations and all of that can be used together along with tests, and all of it feeds into the gradebook. And whether you use our online content or you just use our LMS tools, it's all linked back to the gradebook. And assignments are another great option. Today we were just mostly focusing on testing because it is, again, the biggest component for sure.
Okay, and I just have one more.
Great.
How do you format a test to prepare it to upload it? I'm guessing this is for imports and
yeah. So it's a very specific, strict import that you have to follow, but it's not hard to do. And it's interesting. It's a good segue from the AI and language models, because you can literally copy our instructions and then take your test content and ask ChatGPT or Claude to create this file for you. And I encourage you to try that out because it works very effectively. We have a template though that you can follow. And I've had customers say to me, well, I have 150 PDFs and I need to put them into ampEducator as multiple choice quizzes, and some of them have images and other things. And within like 20 minutes, I can help somebody with one of these language models to create those files and import them, and then have a little report that says, hey, flag any ones that have images to upload later. And it can be done quite easily now. And our import tool is getting better, but it is a very strict import. Yes, to answer the question, it has to be followed because that's just how imports work. But no problem to do it. No problem to do it. Like I said, take a bunch of PDFs, convert them into the format, upload them, and then a couple of manual tweaks, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And copy and paste from there, maybe.
Okay. Well, I think that's about it.
Awesome. But I really appreciate everybody who stuck with us till the end and asked all those great questions. And we would really appreciate it if you signed up and attended the next one. Please provide any feedback. We will be issuing a survey after this. We encourage everyone to answer that, and it gives us feedback for the next one, because we will be coming back and revisiting these webinars and improving upon them every month. So yeah, fantastic. Thanks again, Sema. Really appreciate all of your hard work. Please check out the tutorial, everybody. Sema put a lot of effort into that, and I think you'll find it very useful. All right, great.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
we'll sign off then, Sema.
Okay, bye
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Talk to you next time. Okay, bye-bye.